The alarm screamed through the mining station like a dying animal. Kang Daeho dropped his welding torch and grabbed the safety rail as the entire structure shook. Metal groaned around him. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Hull breach in Docking Bay 7. Someone shouted over the radio. Everyone evacuate Sector 3. Daeho ran with the other miners toward the emergency pods. His boots clanged against the metal floors. Behind him he heard the terrible sound of air rushing out through cracks in the station walls. The Iron Harvest Station had been his home for 2 years. He knew every corridor by heart. The crowd pushed toward the evacuation route. Men and women in mining suits stumbled over each other. Fear filled the air like smoke. Daeho was almost at the pod bay when he heard it, a voice weak, coming from the wrong direction. He stopped. The other miners rushed past him. His supervisor grabbed his arm. Move, Daeho. The whole section is going to decompress. But Daeho pulled free. That voice had been calling for help. He turned and ran back toward Docking Bay 7. His supervisor cursed behind him but didn't follow. The corridor ahead was a disaster. Pieces of metal hung from the ceiling. Sparks shot from broken electrical systems. Through a massive hole in the wall, Daeho could see the black emptiness of space. Stars glittered like broken glass. In the middle of the wreckage lay a ship. At least parts of a ship. It had crashed through the station's outer hull and torn through 3 decks. The design was nothing Daeho had ever seen. Smooth curves instead of angles. The metal seemed to shift colors in the emergency lights, purple, blue, silver. The voice called again. Weaker this time. Daeho climbed over twisted metal toward the crashed ship. His hands found an opening in the hull. He squeezed through. Inside was darkness and the smell of something burning. Not fire. Something else, chemical, alien. He found her in what looked like a pilot's chair. At first he thought she was human. Then he saw her skin. It was violet. Not painted violet. Actually violet like a flower. And her skin had patterns on it. They glowed faintly. Lines of light that ran down her arms and face like living tattoos. She was dying. Even Daeho could see that. Silver liquid pooled beneath her. Blood. Alien blood. It hissed where it touched the metal floor. Steam rose from it. Her eyes opened. They were gold. Bright gold like coins. They focused on his face. Please, she whispered. The word came out strange, accented, but he understood it. Daeho knelt beside her. I'll get help. Hold on. Her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. Her grip was strong despite her wounds. No time, no human medicine can help me. I need genetic donor. I don't understand. She pulled out a small device from her armor. It looked like a silver beetle. She pressed it to his hand. The device clicked. Lights flashed on its surface. Then it beeped 3 times. Compatible, she breathed. Your blood has rare proteins. Can stabilize my cells. Without it, I die. Daeho looked at the silver blood spreading across the floor. Then at her face. She was young. Maybe his age. Someone's daughter. Someone who wanted to live. What do I have to do? She pulled out another device. This one had needles on both ends. Connect us. Blood to blood. Your body will hurt. Might kill you. Human blood is poison to most species. But scanner says, possible. Will you help me? Daeho didn't think about it. Didn't let himself think. He just nodded. The alien woman pressed one needle into her arm. Then she handed the device to Daeho. He pressed the other needle into his own arm. It punched through his skin easily. Didn't even hurt at first. Then the device activated. Pain exploded through Daeho's body. It felt like fire in his veins. Like every cell was being ripped apart and put back together wrong. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. His vision went white, then red, then black. Through the pain, he felt something else. A presence. Not his own thoughts, different, alien, scared, fighting to live. He pushed through the pain, held on to consciousness by pure will. His blood flowed through the tubes into her body. Her blood flowed into his. The mixing should have killed them both. Human and alien biology were not meant to combine, but something impossible happened instead. Daeho felt his body changing, adapting. His cells learned from hers. Her cells learned from his. The pain slowly faded to a dull ache. Then to nothing. He opened his eyes. The alien woman was looking at him. Her golden eyes were brighter now. And in the gold, Daeho saw flecks of brown. Human brown. You saved me, she whispered. What is your name? Kang Daeho. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. I am Hanari, Princess of the Velrathi sovereignty. You have given me life, Kang Deho. This debt cannot be repaid. Before Deho could respond, new alarms blared. Different sounds this time. Ships approaching. He looked through the hole in the station wall and saw vessels appear from nowhere. They looked like they were made of crystal and light. Beautiful and terrifying. My people, Hanari said. They found me. Figures in armor poured into the wreckage. They were all Velrathi. Violet skin, glowing patterns. They surrounded Deho and Hanari with weapons drawn. One of them, a woman with silver armor, knelt beside the princess. Your Highness, are you injured? I was dying. This human saved me with his blood. Take him with us. He must be protected. But Highness, he is just a human. He is bound to me now. By blood, by life. He comes with us. Deho tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't work right. Everything felt wrong. Too heavy and too light at the same time. The silver-armored woman caught him before he fell. The genetic exchange is affecting him. We need to get both of them to medical immediately. The world spun around Deho. He saw the Velrathi lifting Hanari onto a floating stretcher. Saw their ships outside the station. Saw more Velrathi coming for him. He tried to speak. Tried to tell them he needed to contact his crew. His family, Earth, but darkness pulled him down. The last thing he saw was Hanari's face. Her golden eyes with flecks of human brown. And through some connection he didn't understand, he felt her emotions, gratitude, fear, and something else. A bond forming between them that went deeper than blood. Then he felt nothing at all. Deho woke to the sound of water. Not real water. Something that sounded like water but felt different in the air. He opened his eyes slowly. Everything was too bright, too clean, too perfect. The ceiling above him moved. At least it looked like it moved. Patterns shifted across the white surface like clouds, or maybe like cells under a microscope. Deho blinked and tried to sit up. Please remain still. The voice came from his left. A Velrathi woman stood beside his bed. She wore white robes with blue glowing patterns. Your body is still adjusting to the changes. Changes? Deho's voice sounded rough. Where am I? The Sarah Prime, the Velrathi homeworld. You have been unconscious for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. The words took a moment to sink in. Deho looked down at his hands. They looked the same, but when he focused, he saw faint lines under his skin, like the glowing patterns the Velrathi had, but dimmer, almost invisible. What happened to me? The Velrathi woman came closer. She held a device that hummed as she passed it over his body. My name is Yisol. I am a medical attendant. What happened to you is unprecedented. When you gave your blood to Princess Hanari, your genetic material merged with hers at the cellular level. Your body absorbed trace amounts of Velrathi DNA. Her body absorbed your human DNA. Is that bad? Yisol smiled slightly. You are alive. That is not bad. But you are changed, stronger. You heal faster now. You can tolerate temperatures that would kill a normal human. And you have formed what we call a blood bond with the princess. What does that mean? Before Yisol could answer, the door opened. Princess Hanari walked in. She looked completely different from the dying woman in the crashed ship. Now she wore elegant robes of deep purple. Her hair was long and black. The glowing patterns on her skin pulsed gently. She looked powerful. Royal. Kang Deho, she said. Her voice was formal. You are awake. Deho tried to bow, but Yisol pushed him back down. Your Highness, he said awkwardly. Hanari waved her hand. There is no need for that. Not between us. What you did, no Velrathi has words for such a sacrifice. You gave me your life force, your genetic essence. In my culture, this creates a sacred bond. The blood bond Yisol mentioned. Yes, we are connected now. I can feel your emotions if I concentrate. And you can feel mine. It is faint now, but will grow stronger. This bond cannot be broken except by death. Deho processed this information slowly. So we're connected forever. Yes. Hanari sat in a chair beside his bed. For a moment, her formal manner faded. She looked almost shy. I know you did not ask for this. You acted to save a life. But Velrathi law is clear. You are now my life sworn. You belong to the royal family. Belong? The word felt wrong. It is not slavery. It is more like family. But I understand it sounds harsh to human ears. My mother, Queen Mire, wishes to meet you. When you are strong enough, you will be summoned before the throne. The next 2 days passed in a blur. Daiho learned to walk again. His body felt different, lighter, stronger. Yisol ran constant tests. Other Velrathi came to stare at him like he was some kind of exhibit. Hanari visited every day. She told him about Velrathi culture, about the noble houses that served the queen, about the complex politics that ruled their society. She spoke carefully, like she was trying to prepare him for something. On the 3rd day, guards came to his room. They wore armor that gleamed like mirrors. "The queen summons you," one said. Daiho followed them through corridors that defied logic. The walls seemed to be made of living crystal. Light moved through them in patterns. Sometimes he could see through the walls to rooms beyond. Sometimes the walls were solid. The throne room was massive. The ceiling was so high Daiho couldn't see the top. Thousands of Velrathi filled the space. All of them wore fine clothes. All of them stopped talking when Daiho entered. He walked forward on a path of white stone. The crowd watched him from both sides. He heard whispers. Some sounded curious. Others sounded disgusted. He caught words in the Velrathi language that Yisol had been teaching him. Primitive, contaminated, dangerous. At the end of the path sat the throne. It looked like it had grown from the floor, made of the same crystal material as the walls. And on the throne sat Queen Mireille. She was breathtaking and terrifying at the same time. Older than Hanari, but still beautiful. Her skin was darker violet, almost purple. The glowing patterns on her body were intricate, like entire cities mapped on her skin. Her eyes were silver, not gold like Hanari's, pure silver that seemed to see through everything. Daiho stopped before the throne and bowed. He wasn't sure if it was the right gesture, but it seemed appropriate. "Kang Daiho." The queen's voice filled the entire room without being loud. "You saved my daughter's life." "I did what anyone would do, Your Majesty." A ripple of laughter went through the crowd. Not kind laughter, mocking. Queen Mireille raised one hand. Silence fell instantly. "You are human. Your people are barely capable of faster-than-light travel. Your civilization has existed for mere thousands of years while ours spans millions. Yet you say anyone would do what you did. Do you know what human blood does to most alien species? It's toxic." "I know." "Then you knew the transfusion might kill you." "Yes. Yet you did it anyway. Why?" Daiho looked up and met the queen's silver eyes. "Because she wanted to live. That seemed more important than whether I lived or died." The queen studied him for a long moment. Daiho felt like she was reading his soul. Finally, she spoke. "By the laws of the Velrathi sovereignty, a blood bond creates an unbreakable tie. My daughter is now partially human. You are now partially Velrathi. This has never happened before in our history. Some of my nobles believe you should be studied, dissected, your genetic material harvested and analyzed." Fear crawled up Daiho's spine, but he kept his face calm. "However," the queen continued, "my daughter has claimed you as life-sworn. This means you are under the protection of the royal family. You cannot be harmed without my permission. You will live in the palace. You will serve the princess as her guardian and advisor. You will learn our ways, and in return you will have safety and honor. And if I refuse," the silver eyes hardened, "then you dishonor the blood bond. You insult the royal family, and you become an enemy of the sovereignty. Your Earth will not protect you. We are a Tier 2 civilization. Your people are Tier 4. Do you understand what that means?" Daiho understood. It meant Earth had no power here. It meant he was completely alone. "I understand, Your Majesty." "Good. Then kneel and accept your place in my house." Daiho knelt. His mind raced with questions. How would he contact Earth? Would he ever see his family again? What did it mean to be life-sworn to an alien princess? Queen Mireille stood. She walked down from her throne and placed one hand on Daiho's head. Her touch sent tingles through his skull. "By my authority, I name you Voice of Hanari. Your words are her words. Your life is her life. Serve her well, human, and perhaps you will live long enough to see your home again." The crowd erupted in noise. Some cheered. Others shouted protests. Daiho stayed kneeling until Hanari appeared beside him. "Come," she said quietly. "I will show you to your quarters." As they walked out of the throne room, Daiho felt it. Through the blood bond, Hanari's emotions leaked into his mind. She was scared. Not of him, for him. She knew something he didn't. The palace was beautiful, but Daiho couldn't shake the feeling that he just walked into a cage made of crystal and light. Part 3. The human among stars Daeho's quarters were bigger than his entire apartment back on Earth. The walls changed colors based on the time of day, or what passed for day on this alien world. The furniture adjusted to his body when he sat down. Everything was comfortable and strange at the same time. A knock came at his door on his first morning. Daeho opened it to find a young Velrathi male standing there. He looked barely adult. His glowing patterns were bright green instead of the blue or purple Daeho had seen on others. "Hello, I am Tae-young. I have been assigned as your aide." The young man spoke fast, excited. "I specialize in human culture. Well, I am trying to specialize. There is not much information available. Your species is very new to galactic society. Did you really evolve from primates? That is fascinating. Most intelligent species evolved from hive creatures or aquatic beings. Primates are so rare." Daeho blinked at the rush of words. "Nice to meet you, Tae-young. Oh, I am talking too much. My mentor says I do that, but I am very excited to work with you. Come, let me show you the palace, and I will explain Velrathi society. You need to understand how things work here if you want to survive." The last word hung in the air. Survive. As they walked through the palace, Tae-young explained the structure of Velrathi civilization. The queen ruled absolutely but depended on the support of 12 great houses. Each house controlled different resources: military, technology, trade, food production. If enough houses united against the queen, they could force her to step down. "Right now, Queen Mire is strong," Tae-young said, "but there is tension. Lord Jae-won of House Kaesir leads the opposition. He believes the queen has become too soft, too willing to deal with lesser species like humans." "Exactly. And now the queen's daughter is bonded to a human. Jae-won sees this as weakness. He will try to use you against the royal family." As if summoned by his name, Daeho saw Lord Jae-won that afternoon. The Velrathi noble was tall even by their standards. His skin was almost black-purple. His glowing patterns were silver. Cold. He stood in a hallway surrounded by his followers. When Daeho approached, Jae-won deliberately stepped into his path. "The human pet," Jae-won said. His voice dripped with contempt. "Tell me, creature, do you even understand what you are? A primitive being wearing the stolen genetics of your betters." Daeho kept his face neutral. "Excuse me, Lord Jae-won. I need to get past. You need to remember your place." Jae-won leaned close. "You are nothing here. A curiosity. An experiment. When the queen tires of you, I will make sure you are studied thoroughly. Every drop of your contaminated blood will teach us about human weakness." Daeho met his eyes. "If I'm so weak, why do I scare you?" Jae-won's expression turned murderous. But before he could respond, Hanari appeared. "Is there a problem, Lord Jae-won?" The noble stepped back immediately. "Of course not, Your Highness. I was merely introducing myself to your companion." "How kind. Daeho, come. We have training to attend." As they walked away, Daeho felt Jae-won's silver eyes boring into his back. Training became Daeho's daily routine. Hanari taught him Velrathi combat techniques. Their fighting style was elegant, flowing, based on redirecting energy rather than blocking it. At first, Daeho was terrible, but his changed body learned faster than it should have. "You have advantages," Hanari told him after a sparring session. "Human endurance is legendary among species who know about Earth. You can keep going when Velrathi would collapse from exhaustion. Your pain tolerance is extraordinary, and your blood makes you immune to certain toxins that would kill my people. That doesn't help much if someone shoots me with an energy weapon. Then don't let them shoot you." She smiled. "You are thinking too much like a human. Fight like one too. Use your advantages." The assassination attempt started in the second week. The first was subtle. Daeho's food was poisoned. But whatever they used didn't affect his hybrid biology. He got sick but recovered within hours. Yisol analyzed his blood and found traces of a neurotoxin that should have killed him instantly. The second attempt was less subtle. A gravity plate malfunctioned in his quarters while he slept. The sudden shift from normal gravity to 3 times normal should have crushed his organs. But Daeho's body endured. He woke up in terrible pain but alive. The third attempt almost worked. An energy weapon discharged accidentally during a palace ceremony. The blast was aimed perfectly at Daeho's head. He only survived because Hanari pulled him aside at the last second. Through their bond, she had felt the killing intent from the assassin. "Someone wants you dead," Hanari said later. They were in her private chambers, safe. Jae-won, obviously. But he is using agents. People we cannot identify. Maybe I should leave. Go back to Earth, this isn't my fight. Hanari looked at him with her golden brown eyes. You cannot leave. The bond won't allow it. If we separate by too much distance, we both suffer. Headaches, weakness, eventually we would both die. We are tied together, Daiho, for better or worse. Daiho absorbed this new information. Another thing the Queen hadn't mentioned. So I'm trapped. We both are. Hanari sat down heavily. For the first time, Daiho saw her looking vulnerable. I did not ask for this either. I was flying a solo mission when Krell raiders damaged my ship. I crashed at your mining station by pure chance. And now both our lives are changed forever. Through the bond, Daiho felt her emotions. Guilt, fear, loneliness, but also determination. He realized she wasn't just protecting him out of duty. She actually cared. Then we make the best of it, Daiho said. You teach me to survive here. I'll watch your back. And maybe we figure out how to deal with Jaewon and whoever else wants us dead. Hanari smiled slightly. You are very practical for someone whose life has been destroyed. Humans are good at adapting. It's kind of our thing. Over the following weeks, Daiho learned to navigate palace politics. Taeyong taught him which nobles were allies and which were enemies. Yisol continued monitoring his changing biology. And Hanari trained him in combat until he could hold his own against Velrathi soldiers. He also learned about the blood bond. It grew stronger. He could sense Hanari's location at all times. Her strong emotions bled through to him. Joy, anger, fear. And his emotions reached her the same way. It was intimate and invasive at the same time. One evening, Daiho found Hanari on a balcony overlooking the Crystal City. The sun was setting. 2 suns, actually. Tessera Prime orbited a binary star. The light painted everything in shades of purple and gold. I contacted Earth, Daiho said quietly. The Queen finally gave me permission. I spoke to my family. They thought I was dead. Now they think I'm a hostage. Are they wrong? I don't know anymore. Daiho looked at the alien city. Beautiful and cold. Part of me is angry. I never asked for any of this. But another part, he stopped. Another part? Hanari prompted. Another part thinks maybe I'm where I'm supposed to be. How many humans get to see another world? To be part of something this big? He laughed bitterly. Maybe I'm just trying to make sense of something that makes no sense. Hanari was quiet for a moment. Then she said something unexpected. I'm glad you saved me that day. Even with everything that came after. I am glad you lived and I lived and we are here together. Through the bond, Daiho felt her sincerity. It warmed something cold inside him. Yeah, me too. They stood together watching the twin suns set over an alien world. 2 beings bound by blood and circumstance. Learning to be something neither had been before. But in the shadows of the palace, enemies watched and planned. And Daiho's trials were only beginning. Part 4. The blood speaks truth. The alarm that woke Daiho was different from the others. This one was deep, resonant. It vibrated through the entire palace like a bell made of bones. He sat up in his bed knowing something terrible had happened. Hanari burst into his room without knocking. Get dressed. The Queen summons the War Council. You must attend as my life sworn. What's happening? The Krell Dominion has attacked our border worlds. 3 colonies destroyed. Thousands dead. Daiho had heard about the Krell from Taeyong, an insectoid species, aggressive, expansionist. They saw other species as food or slaves. The Velrathi had fought border skirmishes with them for decades, but never open warfare. The War Council met in a chamber deep in the palace. The room was circular. A massive holographic display floated in the center showing a map of Velrathi space. Red markers indicated the attacked colonies. Blue markers showed Velrathi fleet positions. Around the room sat the military commanders and heads of the great houses. Lord Jaewon was there. His silver eyes found Daiho immediately and filled with disgust. Other nobles looked at Daiho with similar contempt. He was a human in a room of Velrathi war leaders, an insect at a gathering of giants. Queen Mireille sat at the head of the council. Her face was carved from ice. Show me the attack patterns, she commanded. A Velrathi general manipulated the hologram. The display zoomed in on the destroyed colonies. The Krell hit hard and fast. They used overwhelming force. No attempt to take prisoners or resources. Pure destruction. They are testing our defenses, Lord Jaewon said. This is the beginning of a larger campaign. We must mobilize the entire fleet and strike at their nearest worlds. Show them the price of attacking us. Other nobles voiced agreement. The room filled with talk of retaliation and vengeance. Deho listened and studied the holographic map. Something felt wrong. He had seen patterns like this before. Back on Earth, Deho had served 3 years in his country's military before becoming a mining engineer. Nothing special, just standard service. But they had taught him strategy, how to read troop movements, how to recognize feints and diversions. The Krell attacks looked random, but they weren't. Deho saw the pattern. The destroyed colonies formed a line. They pointed somewhere. His eyes followed the trajectory across the map. His blood went cold. He realized what he was seeing. But he was just a human. A life sworn with no military authority. Speaking up would be an insult. It could get him killed. Through the bond, Hanari felt his sudden fear and certainty. She looked at him sharply. Her eyes asked a silent question. Deho made a decision. He stood up. The room fell silent. Every Velrathi stared at him. Lord J1's face twisted with rage. The human dares to stand at the War Council? J1's voice could cut glass. Your Majesty, this is an outrage. Remove this creature before it contaminates our strategies with primitive thinking. Queen Mireille raised one hand. My daughter's life sworn has stood. By law he may speak, though he should choose his words carefully. The threat in her voice was clear. Deho's mouth went dry, but he had to say it. Your Majesty, these attacks are not the beginning of a campaign. They are distractions. Explain, the Queen commanded. Deho walked to the holographic display. His hands shook, but he kept his voice steady. The destroyed colonies form a pattern. Look at their positions. They are pulling your attention to the outer rim. But this... He traced a line across the map. This is what they really want. His finger stopped at a massive structure in the center of Velrathi space. The Thessera Gate, a wormhole generator that allowed instant travel across the sovereignty. Without it, moving fleets would take months instead of hours. If the Krell take the gate, they control your entire transportation network. They could move forces anywhere instantly while your fleets are stuck traveling at normal speed. These colony attacks are meant to draw your ships away from the gate. Once your fleet is committed to defending the outer rim, the Krell will strike at the real target with everything they have. Silence filled the room. Then Lord J1 laughed. This is insanity. You would have us believe an insect species is capable of complex strategy. The Krell are brutes. They fight with numbers, not tactics. And you expect us to reorganize our entire defense based on the paranoid fantasies of a human? He may be right. The voice came from General Bora, commander of the Velrathi fleet. She was old for a Velrathi. Her patterns had faded to pale blue, but her eyes were sharp. I have fought the Krell for 50 years. Recently, their tactics have changed. Become more sophisticated, as if someone is teaching them. Who would teach the Krell? Another noble asked. Someone who wants to destabilize the sovereignty, Hanari said. She had stood beside Deho. Someone who benefits from chaos. Every eye turned to Lord J1. His face went dark purple with rage. You accuse me, Princess? I who have served this realm for 200 years. I accuse no one, Hanari said calmly. I simply observe that some benefit more from war than peace. Queen Mireille stood. The room fell silent again. General Bora, what would you advise? The old general studied the map carefully. If the human is wrong, we lose nothing by defending the gate. Our fleets can respond to threats on the outer rim from that central position. But if he is right and we ignore his warning, she shook her head. The gate is our greatest strategic asset. Losing it would be catastrophic. You would bet the sovereignty on the word of a human? J1 demanded. I would bet the sovereignty on sound tactical analysis, the Queen said coldly, which I have just heard. General, redirect the fleet to defend the Thessera Gate. Maintain minimal presence at the border, but concentrate our forces at the center. Your Majesty, I must protest, J1 began. Your protest is noted and dismissed. This council is ended. As the nobles filed out, J1 passed close to Deho. If you are wrong, human, I will personally feed you to the Krell, piece by piece. Deho met his silver eyes. If I'm wrong, the Krell will probably eat me anyway. 3 days later, Krell forces appeared at the Thessera Gate. Not a raiding party. An invasion fleet. Hundreds of ships. Enough to overwhelm a lightly defended position. But the gate was not lightly defended. The Velrathi fleet waited in perfect formation. The battle was brutal. Deho watched it on the palace displays. Ships exploded in silence. Energy weapons carved through vacuum. The Krell fought with insane courage. But the Velrathi had the advantage of position and firepower. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Krell fleet was destroyed. But thousands of Velrathi had died. Ships drifted as burning wrecks. Victory had come at a terrible price. Queen Mirae summoned Deho that evening. He found her alone in her private chambers. She looked tired, ancient, the weight of all those deaths showing on her face. "You were right," she said simply. "You saw what my generals missed. What my nobles could not imagine." A human with 3 years of primitive military training outsmarted Velrathi, who have studied war for centuries. "Do you know why?" "No, Your Majesty, because you think differently. Your species has spent its entire existence fighting each other. War is in your blood. You recognize patterns of deception because humans invented most of them." She poured herself a drink from a crystal bottle. "I'm going to elevate your status. You will be voice of the princess with full authority to advise on military matters. This will make you powerful. It will also make you more dangerous to my enemies." "You mean Lord Jaewon?" "Among others." Jaewon was publicly humiliated today. His advice would have led to disaster. He will not forgive that, and he will blame you. The queen looked at Deho with her silver eyes. "Can you survive in this court, human? Can you play the games of power and politics while enemies sharpen their knives for your back?" Deho thought about the mining station where he used to work. Simple, safe, boring. That life was gone. He was in this now. "All the way. I'll survive, Your Majesty." "Humans are good at that." Queen Mirae smiled slightly. "Yes, I am beginning to understand that truth." Part 5. Poison in the court. The rumors started small. Whispers in palace corridors. Conversations that stopped when Deho entered a room. But within 2 weeks, the whispers became open accusations. The human is controlling the princess. His blood has contaminated her mind. The bond is not sacred. It is parasitic. Tae-young brought Deho the reports. Someone was spreading propaganda throughout the palace. Carefully crafted lies mixed with partial truths. The blood bond was real. Deho's DNA had merged with Hanari's. But the claim that he was controlling her was absurd. "It is Jaewon's work," Tae-young said. "He is turning your greatest strength into a weapon against you. He makes Velrathi fear what you represent." "What do I represent?" "Change, the unknown. Everything that threatens their comfortable beliefs about their own superiority." Hanari tried to ignore the rumors, but Deho felt her pain through the bond. She was strong, but not immune to the poison being spread about her. Some nobles refused to meet her eyes. Others whispered behind their hands when she passed. The princess of the Velrathi sovereignty was being isolated by her own people. The attack came during a formal dinner. Deho and Hanari attended as required. The dining hall was massive. Crystal tables floated in the air. Hundreds of nobles ate and socialized. It was supposed to be a celebration of the victory at the Sara Gate. Deho sat beside Hanari at the high table. He wore formal robes that Tae-young had helped him select. He felt ridiculous, like a child playing dress-up. But he kept his face neutral and tried to blend in. The food was strange, but he had learned to tolerate Velrathi cuisine. Most of it tasted like metal and flowers. His hybrid biology could process it where pure human genetics couldn't. He was reaching for his drink when the bond screamed a warning. Danger. Close. Immediate. Deho turned. An assassin in servant's clothing lunged at Hanari with a blade made of pure energy. The weapon would cut through armor like paper. The attack was so fast most people didn't see it coming, but Deho did. His body moved before his mind caught up. He threw himself in front of Hanari. The energy blade caught him across the chest. Pain exploded through him, white-hot, burning. The weapon sliced through his robes and cut deep into his flesh. The assassin's eyes widened. He had expected to kill the princess, not the human. He tried to pull back for another strike, but Velrathi guards were already moving. They cut him down before he could attack again. Deho collapsed. Blood poured from the wound. His blood? Red human blood mixed with traces of silver Velrathi genetics. It pooled on the crystal floor. "Deho!" Hanari caught him. Her face was white with shock. Through the bond, he felt her terror, her rage. "Get medical now!" The world spun. Deho tried to speak, but only blood came out. The energy blade had done terrible damage. It should have been instantly fatal. But his hybrid biology kept him alive. Barely. Yisol appeared like magic. She pressed devices to his chest. He is alive, but his organs are failing. We need to get him to medical immediately. They moved him to the medical wing. Daeho drifted in and out of consciousness. Through the bond, he felt Hana-ri beside him the entire time. Her fear, her determination. She held his hand as Yisol worked to save his life. It took 3 hours. When Daeho finally woke, he was in a medical bed. His chest was wrapped in something that hummed and glowed. The pain was gone, replaced by numbness and exhaustion. Hana-ri sat in a chair beside his bed. She looked terrible. Her eyes were red. Her patterns flickered irregularly. "You almost died," she said. Her voice was raw. "But I didn't. You threw yourself in front of a blade meant for me. That's what Lifesworn means, right?" Daeho tried to smile. "I protect you." Hana-ri's face crumpled. Tears ran down her violet cheeks. "I am so tired of people trying to kill us. I am tired of the politics and the lies and the constant danger. Why can't they just leave us alone?" Daeho reached out and took her hand. "Because we're dangerous to them. We prove that their beliefs about humans and Velrathi are wrong. We're something new, something they can't control." The door opened. Queen Mireille entered. She looked at Daeho with an expression he couldn't read. "Leave us," she told Hana-ri. "Mother, I would speak with your Lifesworn alone." Hana-ri left reluctantly. The queen waited until the door closed. Then she pulled a chair close to Daeho's bed and sat. For a long moment she just looked at him. "You could have let the assassin strike," she finally said. "Hana-ri would have died. The blood bond would have killed you shortly after. But you would have been free of this burden for a short time, free of the danger and politics." "Why did you save her?" "Because I care about her. The bond made us family. You don't let family die." Queen Mireille nodded slowly. "I am going to tell you something that no one outside my inner circle knows. The truth about why I kept you, why I elevated you, why I allow a human to advise my daughter and sit on my war council." She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the twin suns were setting again. "The Velrathi are dying. Not in war. In our genetics. We have existed for millions of years. We have perfected our society, our technology, our bloodlines. We have bred ourselves for excellence over countless generations. What does that have to do with me? Everything has a price. Our perfection has left us stagnant. Our genetics no longer adapt, no longer evolve. Our birth rates are falling. Our people live longer but have fewer children. In another 10,000 years, the Velrathi will be extinct." Daeho absorbed this. "You need genetic diversity." "Yes, but mixing with most alien species kills us. Our biology is too specialized, too refined. It rejects foreign DNA like poison." She turned to face him. "But your blood didn't poison Hana-ri. It saved her. Your genetics merged with hers at a quantum level. She is now something unprecedented. Part Velrathi, part human. And she is thriving. You want to study the bond. Find a way to replicate it. I want to save my species. If we can learn how your genetics bonded with Hana-ri's, we might find a way to introduce diversity into our bloodlines without killing us. You represent hope, Kang Daeho. But if the other great houses learn this truth, they will hunt you, study you, dissect you. Some would kill you rather than allow humans to mix with Velrathi blood. Lord Jaewon knows something. That's why he's spreading rumors about the bond being parasitic. He suspects the truth but doesn't have proof. Yes, and he is getting closer. His agents are everywhere. They watch you constantly. It is only a matter of time before he learns enough to expose you." Queen Mireille sat down again. "I am asking you to trust me, to continue playing this dangerous game. In return, I will allow you to contact Earth regularly. I will protect you as much as I can. And when we find a solution, you will be honored as the bridge between our species." Daeho thought about it, about everything that had happened since he saved a dying alien in a crashed ship. "And if I refuse? If I want to go home? Then you go home. I will release you from service. Break the bond. The process will be painful for you and Hana-ri, but you will both survive. You can return to Earth, return to your simple life." She paused. "But the Velrathi will still die, and humanity will remain a Tier 4 species. Alone, weak, vulnerable to threats you cannot imagine. It wasn't really a choice." Daeho knew that. But the queen was giving him the illusion of choice. The respect of asking rather than commanding, I'll stay. I'll help you. But I want truth from now on. No more secrets. No more surprises. Queen Mireille smiled slightly. I cannot promise no surprises. Politics is built on surprises. But I will give you truth when I can. She stood to leave. At the door she paused. You saved my daughter today again. That makes twice you have given her life. I will not forget this debt, human. After she left, Hanari returned. She climbed into the medical bed beside Deho. It was against protocols, but neither of them cared. She rested her head on his shoulder. I felt everything through the bond, she whispered. When the blade hit you. When you were dying. I felt it all. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, just don't die. I can't lose you. I know that's selfish, but I can't. Through the bond, Deho felt her emotions. Fear. Love. Fierce protectiveness. He realized she felt the same way about him that he felt about her. They had become each other's anchor in a storm of politics and danger. I won't die. Humans are too stubborn for that. She laughed weakly. Yes, you are very stubborn. They lay together in the medical bay. Two beings from different worlds bound by blood and choice. Outside enemies plotted. But in that moment they were safe, it wouldn't last. But they had each other. And that was enough. Part 6. The Trial of Houses. The summons came 3 weeks after the assassination attempt. A formal document sealed with the marks of 6 great houses. Lord Jaewon demanded a trial before the Grand Assembly of all noble houses. The charge was genetic contamination and manipulation of the royal bloodline. He is accusing you of controlling me through the blood bond, Hanari explained. She paced in Deho's quarters like a caged animal. He has convinced enough houses to support an inquiry. By law, my mother cannot refuse. What happens at this trial? You must defend yourself alone. The Queen can judge but cannot advocate for you. I cannot speak on your behalf because the bond might influence my words. You will stand before hundreds of nobles who want you dead or dissected, and you must convince them to let you live. Deho felt his stomach turn cold. When? Tomorrow. Tae-young spent the night teaching Deho Velrathi legal customs. The trial followed ancient rules. Every house would present evidence. Deho could question witnesses and present his own evidence. At the end, the Queen would judge. But her judgment had to follow the law. If enough houses united against Deho, even the Queen's protection might not save him. Jaewon has been planning this for months, Tae-young said. His green patterns flickered with anxiety. He has falsified data, bribed witnesses, twisted every fact about you into something sinister. He will try to prove that humans are inherently dangerous, that your blood has contaminated not just Hanari but the entire royal line. How do I fight that? With truth, with logic, and with courage. Tae-young gripped Deho's shoulder. You are the bravest human I have met. Show them that. The Grand Assembly met in the oldest part of the palace, a chamber carved from living rock millions of years ago. Every great house sent representatives. Minor houses filled the upper galleries. By Deho's estimate, over 1,000 Velrathi packed the space. He walked into the chamber alone. Every eye followed him. The hatred was almost physical. These people saw him as a disease, a corruption of everything they held sacred. Lord Jaewon stood at the prosecutor's position. His silver patterns gleamed with confidence. The Grand Assembly is convened. We gather to judge Kang Deho, human who has infiltrated the royal family through deception and genetic manipulation. Queen Mireille sat on a throne carved from the wall itself. Her face was stone. Present your evidence, Lord Jaewon. What followed was brutal. Jaewon had done his work well. He presented data showing human history. Every war, every genocide, every act of cruelty humans had ever committed. He painted humanity as a species of violent primitives barely restrained by civilization. Then he showed genetic analysis. The blood bond had changed Hanari at a fundamental level. Her DNA now contained human sequences. This contamination is permanent, Jaewon declared. The princess has been genetically compromised. And this human is the source, he called witnesses. Scientists who testified that human blood was toxic to most species. Military advisors who claimed human strategic thinking was crude and dangerous. Even some of Hanari's own servants testified that she had changed since the bond formed. Become more aggressive, more emotional, more human. Each piece of evidence hammered another nail into Deho's coffin. The assembled nobles murmured agreement. Deho felt their hostility like heat from a fire. When it was Deho's turn to respond, he stood slowly. His legs felt weak, but he forced himself to appear calm. Lord Jaewon has presented many facts. I won't deny them. Humans are violent. Our history is full of wars. We are primitive compared to the Velrathi. The nobles seemed satisfied. They expected him to grovel, to beg for mercy. But Lord Jaewon left out some important facts, like why humans are so violent. We evolved on a death world. Earth has extreme weather, dangerous predators, diseases that kill millions. We spent our entire existence fighting to survive. That's why we're violent, because we had to be. He walked to the center of the chamber. You call us primitive, but we went from discovering fire to faster-than-light travel in less than 10,000 years. Your species took 1,000,000 years to achieve the same progress. We learn fast, we adapt, we survive impossible situations. That proves nothing, Jaewon said coldly, except that humans breed like insects and spread like disease. It proves that when you needed someone to see the Krell strategy at the Sarah Gate, a human figured it out. When your generals missed the pattern, primitive human military training saved your most important strategic asset. Thousands of Velrathi are alive right now because a violent human gave you advice you didn't want to hear. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Not agreement, but doubt. Deho pressed his advantage. You say I contaminated Princess Hana-Ri. Let me ask the assembly a question. Before the blood bond, could the princess survive a direct energy blade strike? Could she tolerate neurotoxins? Could she function in 3 times normal gravity? Of course not, someone shouted, but she can now. Because the bond made her stronger. Human genetics didn't weaken her. They enhanced her. She has all the advantages of Velrathi biology, plus human endurance and adaptability. If that's contamination, then you should all be racing to get contaminated. Lord Jaewon's face went dark purple. You dare mock this assembly? I'm not mocking. I'm stating facts. Princess Hana-Ri is the first hybrid between our species. She's proof that Velrathi and humans can combine successfully, and that terrifies you. Not because it's dangerous, because it challenges everything you believe about your own superiority. The chamber erupted in shouting. Some nobles demanded Deho's immediate execution. Others called for order. Queen Mire raised one hand and silence fell. Do you have evidence to present, Kang Deho? I call Yisol, medical attendant to the royal family. Yisol entered nervously. She was a low-ranking Velrathi, speaking before the Grand Assembly could end her career, but she had promised to help. Tell the assembly about the blood bond, Deho said gently. Is it natural or artificial? Yisol's voice shook at first but grew stronger. I have studied the bond extensively. It is completely natural. The genetic merger happened spontaneously when human and Velrathi blood mixed. No technology was involved. No manipulation. The bond formed because their genetics were compatible at a quantum level. Impossible, Jaewon said. Human and Velrathi biology are incompatible. That's what we believed. But the data proves otherwise. Kang Deho's blood contains proteins we've never seen before. They act as bridges between incompatible genetic structures. When combined with Princess Hana-Ri's DNA, they created something new, something that should not exist but does. You're saying he's a freak of nature, Jaewon said. A genetic anomaly. I'm saying he's unique, possibly one of a kind in the entire galaxy, and Princess Hana-Ri is equally unique. Together they represent an evolutionary step forward for both species. Deho saw his opening. Lord Jaewon, you keep saying I manipulated the princess, that I used the bond to control her. So let me ask you a question. If I can control her thoughts and emotions, why would I let her be placed in constant danger? Why would I allow assassination attempts that could kill us both? What possible benefit is there for me in any of this? Jaewon opened his mouth, closed it. He had no answer. I'll tell you why, Deho continued. Because I'm not controlling anyone. I saved a dying woman in a crashed ship. I gave her my blood because she wanted to live. Everything that came after was consequence, not conspiracy. You want to believe I'm some kind of mastermind, but the truth is simpler. I'm just a human who made a choice, and I'd make the same choice again. Tae-young spoke from the gallery. His voice rang clear. I have worked with Kang Deho for months. I have studied human culture and psychology. If he wanted to manipulate the princess, he would do it through the bond by creating emotional dependence. But I have observed them together. They argue. They disagree. They challenge each other. That is not manipulation. That is partnership. Other voices joined in. minor nobles who had watched Deho in the palace, soldiers who had trained with him. Even some neutral houses began questioning Jaewon's evidence. Queen Mireille stood. The chamber fell silent again. Lord Jaewon, you have presented your case. Much of it is speculation and fear disguised as fact. Yes, Kang Deho is dangerous, but not in the way you claim. He is dangerous because he proves that Velrathi are not the pinnacle of evolution, that other species can teach us, can challenge us, can make us better. Your Majesty, I must object. You will be silent. The Queen's voice cracked like a whip. I have heard enough. Kang Deho is found innocent of all charges. The blood bond is declared natural and sacred. Any house that moves against him moves against the crown. Relief flooded through Deho, but before he could celebrate, Jaewon played his final card. Then I invoke the right of severance. If your Majesty protects this human, then House Kaiser severs its oath to the crown. We withdraw our support, and I call upon those houses who value purity over corruption to join us. 5 other houses stood. Together, they represented nearly a third of the sovereignty's military and economic power. The threat was clear. Accept their demands or face civil war. Queen Mireille's face remained calm, but Deho saw the tension in her shoulders. You would tear apart the sovereignty over one human? I would save the sovereignty from contamination. Remove the human, cleanse the royal bloodline, return to the old ways, or we will remove you and install a queen who understood the palace was burning. Deho ran through corridors filled with smoke and screaming. Energy weapons tore through walls. Velrathi soldiers fought each other in the hallways. Lord Jaewon's threat of civil war had become reality within hours. His house troops had attacked the palace while Krell forces simultaneously struck at 3 border worlds. The betrayal ran deeper than anyone imagined. Jaewon had been coordinating with the Krell for months. The plan was brutal in its simplicity. Destroy the royal family, take the throne, then make peace with the Krell by giving them half the sovereignty's territory. Hanari fought beside Deho. Her combat training had transformed her into a deadly warrior. Her energy blade cut through enemy soldiers with terrible efficiency. Through their bond, they moved as one. Deho sensed her intentions a split second before she acted. She felt his awareness of threats from behind. The queen is in the throne room, Hanari gasped. She is holding them off, but she is outnumbered. They ran toward the throne room. Bodies littered the corridors. Both loyal soldiers and traitors. The price of Jaewon's ambition was measured in Velrathi blood. The throne room doors had been blown open. Inside, Queen Mireille stood surrounded by her royal guard. They formed a circle of steel and energy shields around her. Jaewon's forces pressed from all sides, hundreds of them against maybe 30 defenders. Deho and Hanari crashed into the enemy from behind. The surprise attack broke their formation. Loyal soldiers rallied and pushed forward. For a moment, the tide seemed to turn. Then Lord Jaewon himself entered the throne room. He had enhanced his body with stolen technology. Cybernetic implants covered half his face. His arms had been replaced with weapons. He moved with inhuman speed. His energy claws cut through armor like paper. Your reign ends today, Mireille, Jaewon snarled. The Velrathi will be pure again. The human contamination will be cleansed. Queen Mireille faced him calmly. You would destroy our civilization to maintain your pride. That is not purity. That is insanity. The Krell will give us what we need. Resources. Territory. All we have to do is eliminate the weak, starting with your mongrel daughter and her human pet. Jaewon's forces surged forward. The battle became chaos. Deho found himself separated from Hanari. He fought with everything he had learned, Velrathi techniques mixed with human aggression. His hybrid body took damage that should have killed him but kept moving. He saw Jaewon corner Queen Mireille. The queen was a skilled fighter, but Jaewon's enhancements made him nearly unstoppable. His energy claws struck her shields again and again. The shields flickered, failed. Jaewon raised his claw for the killing blow. Hanari appeared from nowhere and tackled him. They went down together in a tangle of limbs and weapons. The princess was strong, but Jaewon was stronger. He threw her off and stabbed at her with his claws. The blow should have killed her, but Deho moved faster than thought. His body acted on pure instinct. He threw himself between Hanari and the energy claws. The weapons punched through his chest. Pain exploded through him, white and red and burning. Through the bond, Hanari screamed. She felt every bit of his agony. Her grief and rage merged into something primal, something terrifying. The blood bond flared to life. not the gentle connection they had learned to control. This was raw, powerful. The genetic merger between human and Velrothi activated fully for the first time. Hanari's body transformed. Her patterns blazed with light. Her strength multiplied. She caught Jaewon's next strike with her bare hand. The energy claw that could cut through steel stopped against her palm. She crushed it. The metal screamed and shattered. Jaewon's eyes widened with shock. What? Hanari didn't let him finish. She drove her other hand through his chest, through the cybernetics, through his body. She ripped out his power core and crushed it. Jaewon collapsed. His enhanced body failed. He lay on the crystal floor staring up at the princess he had tried to kill. You wanted purity, Hanari said coldly, but this is what evolution looks like. Adaptation. Survival. The strong consuming the weak. Humans understood that truth millions of years before you were born. Jaewon died with his eyes still open, shocked that a hybrid had proven superior to his perfect Velrothi biology. With their leader dead, Jaewon's forces broke. Some tried to flee. Others surrendered. The loyal soldiers cut down those who ran and took prisoners where they could. The battle for the palace was over, but Daeho was dying. Hanari crawled to him. Her hands shook as she tried to stop the bleeding. But the damage was too severe. The energy claws had destroyed his organs. Even his hybrid biology couldn't heal this. No, Hanari sobbed. No, you can't die. We're bonded. If you die, I die. Not true, Daeho whispered. Blood filled his mouth. Bond can break if one dies. You'll survive. I don't want to survive without you. Through the fading bond, Daeho felt her emotions. Love, desperation, grief. He had never expected to feel these things from an alien princess, had never expected to care so much about someone so different from himself. Listen, he managed. Tell the queen the bond worked. You're proof. Save your species. Make something good from this. Yisol appeared with medical equipment. I can stabilize him, but I need him in surgery now. They rushed Daeho to the medical wing. Yisol worked for 6 hours straight. The surgery was brutal. She had to rebuild organs, reconnect severed vessels. At one point, Daeho's heart stopped. Yisol restarted it manually. When she finally emerged, Yisol looked exhausted. He will live. His hybrid biology is remarkable. No pure human would have survived those injuries. Hanari collapsed with relief. Through the bond, she felt Daeho sleeping, unconscious but alive. The connection remained strong. The aftermath of the battle took weeks to resolve. Jaewon's conspiracy had reached deeper than anyone suspected. 6 houses had supported him. Thousands of Velrothi had died in the fighting. The Krell attacks were repelled, but at great cost. Queen Mireille emerged from the crisis with absolute power. She stripped the traitorous houses of all holdings and titles. She promoted loyal houses to fill the gaps. And she made a historic announcement that shook the entire sovereignty. The blood bond between human and Velrothi will be studied, not as a curiosity, as the key to our survival. We will open diplomatic relations with Earth as equals. We will share technology and knowledge, and we will explore the potential of genetic cooperation between our species. The announcement caused uproar, but the Queen had just crushed a rebellion. No one dared oppose her openly. The galaxy watched in amazement as a Tier 2 civilization offered alliance to a Tier 4 species. Daeho woke 3 days after the battle. Hanari was sleeping in a chair beside his bed. Her hand held his. Through the bond, he felt her presence. Warm, protective, loving. He squeezed her hand gently. She woke immediately. You're awake, she breathed. I felt you dying. Takes more than that to kill a human. She laughed. It sounded like crying. You are so stubborn. Learned from the best. Queen Mireille visited later that day. She looked at Daeho with something that might have been respect. You saved my life. My daughter's life. The sovereignty itself. I owe you a debt I can never repay. Just send me home sometimes. Let me see my family. That's payment enough. You will go home, but not as a prisoner or exile, as an ambassador. The first human to formally represent Earth in the Galactic Council. She paused. If you want the position. Daeho looked at Hanari. She smiled at him. We can travel together. I would like to see Earth, to meet the species that produced someone like you. The bond is permanent, Queen Mireille said. You will always be connected. But that connection can be a bridge between worlds, between species. The choice is yours. Deho thought about the mining station where this had all started, about the scared woman in the crashed ship, about everything that had happened since. The pain, the danger, the impossible bond that had formed between two beings who should never have met. I'll do it. But I split my time. Half the year on Earth, half here. I won't abandon either world. Agreed, Queen Mire stood. The genetic research will continue. Yisol believes the blood bond can be replicated with proper preparation. If she is right, our species might have a future. Together. She left. Deho and Hanari sat in comfortable silence. Through the bond, words were unnecessary. They understood each other at a level deeper than language. Are you scared? Hanari finally asked. Of what comes next? Terrified. But humans are good at being scared and doing things anyway. I am scared too. My people will judge me, call me contaminated, say I am not truly Velrathi anymore. She looked at her hands, at the faint human patterns under her violet skin. Maybe they are right. You're something better, something new. Both species combined. That's not contamination. That's evolution. 6 months later, Deho stood on Earth. Real Earth, not a space station or colony. He breathed air that smelled like home, felt gravity he had grown up with, saw the sun he had known all his life. Hanari stood beside him. She wore simple human clothes. She looked awkward and excited. People stared at her violet skin and glowing patterns, but most just seemed curious rather than hostile.